I guess everyone's got a different reason for being here tonight, or a different reason for needing egg donation. Our one was, we started off thinking we had male factor infertility, and then when we did the workup, we found out I also had a poor ovarian reserve. And in some ways it was quite nice because we both had a problem. But in terms of fertility treatment, it was not a good position to be in, because I needed fantastic sperm and he needed fantastic eggs, and we didn't have either. So I think it came, I'm sure like you all know, it's an awful shock. And we went through, I don't think you can, I mean, some people don't have any choice and they have to jump straight to donation. But we did have a choice, and we needed to try with our own first before we were ready to make the decision to go for donation. So we went through 3 cycles of ICSI, so similar to IVF, but using a special technique for low sperm count. And it didn't work, so then we had to regroup. The hard thing was, I think, because we almost got there, it was really hard. I'm the sort of person that sort of, I do just keep going and plodding and going and plodding and going and going and going until my husband said stop. So we did get embryos, and we had a miscarriage. So it was so tantalising. It was nearly there, but actually, I think emotionally, it was just too much, and we decided to stop and have a rest and have a break and have a think. And for us, people mentioned sperm donation earlier, and then egg donation as having the best chance. And I think we both thought egg donation would be fairer, because with us both having a problem, I think, you know, as a woman, you get to carry the baby even though it might not be your genetic imprint, whereas if we'd gone for sperm donation, I was a bit worried he might feel completely left out of it. So it felt like a fair option for us, but hopefully not too many people have to face that dilemma. So initially, we really weren't ready to do egg donation. I was all for just sign us up and we'll do it, and my husband said no, and he was irritatingly right. So we had to go through a process. It's like a process of mourning, really, and I suppose everybody here is at various stages of letting go of what you thought would happen and being ready for something different. I used to have endless chats about if we'd be ready or not, and it didn't feel like a baby without my own eggs would feel the same as one with, and that wasn't right to do it. So I think a few things happened that helped us on our way. Well, first of all, we got a cat, and we realised people say get a cat or a dog, and it can be really irritating, patronising. But we did get a cat, and we realised we loved him very much, and he wasn't even human. And then we had a couple of friends of ours ended up being single mums, and so we helped them out a lot more with their babies. I think you go through stages. There's stages where you can't bear to see babies, and then other times when you want to see them. So we decided that we didn't want to miss out on being around babies and children. So we got quite involved in looking after these 2 friends' babies. I was even there for the birth of one. And we, one night we sort of said, do you know what, if they just got left here, it would be fine, wouldn't it? We would love that baby and it wouldn't matter. And that was, for us, what I think flipped us into knowing we come to terms with not having our own, but knowing we could still love another child. Well, not another child, but, you know, one that wasn't genetically ours. It really didn't make a difference. And at that point, I think that's when we knew we were ready. There were still quite a few doubts and a lot of questions, but we knew then. So everybody will have a different point, I suppose. But for us, that's when it started to feel right. I think we'd always wanted an anonymous donor. I mean, I don't have a sister, so it might be different if you had a sister. But we just wanted to get on with being parents like everyone else. I didn't want to be looking at my friends, and, you know, a friend offered to do it for me, and I thought, well, I don't want to be meeting with them, and my child would be their child's half brother, half sister, and I'd be looking at her, thinking, does it like her, does it look like me? So for us, we'd always wanted an anonymous donor, just so that we could have our own child, and, you know, we were like everybody else again, as much as you can be. So at the point, I think, we really started thinking about it, we thought we would have to go to the States because of my colouring, because there's not many ginger people in Greece and Spain. So we thought we would have to go to the States. And then Alison and I got talking, and she said, why? And then we hatched the plan. And really all I was thinking, I mean, when it started, I thought almost, I don't care as long as it's a woman who's vaguely brown-haired with blue eyes. That was all I wanted. That's all I really cared about. And then this amazing woman came forward, and the more we found out about her, the more similar she was to me, and it was really spooky because we had like the same music, we had the same sense of humour. She had a cat, so we went through all the tests, and then it was go. I think we also made, I mean, as well as wanting an anonymous person, I think we sort of didn't really want everybody to know. And it's not a case of, I mean, it's, in doing some of these talks, it's made me really unpick and think why we didn't want anyone to know. And I think it was a bit like, I just didn't want everyone to be looking and thinking and approaching our child with an expectation of looking, does he really look like her, doesn't he? We just wanted to, we'd been through so much, we just wanted to be normal again. And I think we felt like awful failures and everything had gone so badly wrong. So it's a bit superstitious, but the cycle when we had got pregnant, we hadn't told anyone. So we had that in our mind. If we don't tell anyone, we'll get pregnant. So it was a bit of superstition and a bit of thinking about what we wanted. So, and the people that we did tell were just so pleased for us, really pleased, and just said, oh, thank God, I don't know what's taking you so long. And it's really interesting now, so this small group of people who know, it has made absolutely no difference. So I think maybe I probably was being slightly paranoid and overprotective, because even they fall into the trap of saying, oh, he's really got your eyes. and you know, and people don't judge. But you have to, I suppose, in your heart know what's right for you and go with it. We did have joint counselling before we went through with it, and that was really helpful, because I thought, oh, I know all about this. God, I've been doing therapy for 6 years now or something. I really should know this. But actually, they posed an awful lot of questions that we hadn't thought of. And for us, we felt so positive in our answers. It really strengthened our resolve that this was the right thing for us. So in that way, it was really helpful. So things that we hadn't thought about, they talked about, and it really made it feel like it was the right thing to do. So I would say definitely, I think you have to go ahead with it, but it is really, really helpful too. In comparison with, I don't know how many people in the room have been through IVF who've got a similar problem to me. It's just soul destroying, because you go through all these hormones and you get one egg and then 3 follicles, 1 egg, 1 embryo, and all that hope's riding on one. It hasn't got that awful hope riding on this one little thing that you're imagining is going to go on and become a baby. So you've got a bit of choice in it. So the actual physicality of going through the process is very easy. I just went on the pill, and then you had to make a lining in your womb, and then they popped the embryo back, and that was it. Easy as that. Much easier than going through a cycle. I think you get a tougher deal. So that was fine, really. I suppose you feel slightly disconnected from it. It's a bit weird, this momentous thing's happening somewhere across town, and you're not quite there, and there's always a slight worry, what happens if something goes wrong, what if they pull out, what if they don't produce any eggs, but as you get closer and closer, it sort of becomes realer and realer, and then you can finally hope again.